The Curiosity weaves through the asteroid field with precision that belies its bulky research vessel design. Captain Rice stands on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of navigation screens. "Approaching anomaly source in 3 minutes," announces the pilot, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Maintain distance of 500 kilometers once we locate the source," Raya's orders. "Full sensor sweep, passive scans only until we know what we're dealing with." Dr. Chen feels her heart racing as the main view screen displays real-time imagery of the approaching asteroid cluster. Unlike the chaotic tumbling of surrounding space rocks, these asteroids maintain a curious formation, almost like they're orbiting an invisible center. "That's not natural," she whispers, more to herself than anyone else. "Those movements are too precise." Keithal, the ship's Ardani science officer, extends his crystalline appendages toward his console. "Captain, I must formally register my objection to this detour. The anomalous readings are likely a sensor malfunction, and this expedition into unstable asteroid density risks damage to." "Objection noted." Rise interrupts calmly, his eyes never leaving the view screen. "Dr. Chen, you have a theory." Elisa steps forward, ignoring the subtle shimmer of disapproval emanating from Keithal's crystalline form. The energy signature pulses at regular intervals, almost like a beacon. "And look at the configuration of those larger asteroids. They're positioned equidistantly around a central point, despite all the gravitational forces that should have scattered them randomly over millennia." The Curiosity slows as it approaches the formation. Suddenly, the sensors blare with new information. "Energy spike," calls out the sensor operator. "Something's activating within the asteroid cluster." Before anyone can react, a beam of soft golden light extends from the center of the formation, gently enveloping the Curiosity. The ship's systems flicker momentarily before stabilizing. Keithal's appendages wave in agitation as his console displays a stream of data. "We're being scanned," he announces, his normally melodious voice vibrating with tension, "but not by any coalition recognition protocol." Elisa watches in fascination as the light pulsates in a complex rhythm. "It's not just scanning us, it's communicating." She points to the pattern. "There's a mathematical sequence here, prime numbers, followed by what could be a response request." Captain Rice glances at her. "Can we answer?" "I think we should," she replies, her eyes bright with excitement. "Permission to attempt communication using basic mathematical sequences." After a moment's hesitation, Rice nods. Eliza inputs a simple response. The next 5 prime numbers in the sequence. The golden light intensifies momentarily, then retreats. The asteroid formation begins to shift, outer rocks drifting away while the central cluster transforms before their eyes. Surface material sloughs away, revealing gleaming metallic structures underneath the rocky camouflage. A massive doorway appears, sliding open with surprising smoothness for something seemingly ancient. "It's a station," breathes Eliza, her voice barely above a whisper. "A space station disguised as an asteroid cluster." The bridge falls silent as the view screen displays the fully revealed structure. An elegant curved facility that somehow combines architectural elements reminiscent of Earth's ancient civilizations with technology far beyond current understanding. Symbols etched into its exterior glow with inner light, shifting and changing as if alive. "Those markings," murmurs Dr. Tanaka from the science station. "They appear to contain linguistic elements similar to ancient Earth scripts. Sumerian, Proto-Sanskrit, early Chinese oracle bone script. But that's impossible." "Scan complete," Keithal announces reluctantly. The structure is approximately 100,000 standard years old, with internal atmosphere maintained at precisely Earth normal conditions. Captain Rice turns to Eliza, one eyebrow raised. "Dr. Chen, it seems your anomaly just became the discovery of the century. Prepare a boarding team." The boarding team assembles in the Curiosity's main airlock, a carefully selected group representing the ship's diverse crew. Dr. Chen, and Dr. Tanaka stand alongside Lieutenant Commander Ortiz, the security chief, and 2 research specialists. Coalition protocols mandate inclusivity in first contact scenarios, so 3 non-human specialists join them. Kthal, whose crystalline sensory appendages can detect energy patterns invisible to humans. Nexer, a Vesperan xenorchaeologist whose species is renowned for their perfect recall of historical data, and T'Prel, a Solarian engineer whose multifaceted eyes can perceive structural weaknesses in any construction. Remember, Captain Rice addresses them through the comm. This is primarily a scientific expedition. No unnecessary risks, no assumptions. We document everything. The team crosses the short distance between the Curiosity and the station via a secure docking tube. Environmental readings show breathable atmosphere within the station, a curious detail for a facility that has supposedly been abandoned for millennia. The composition is remarkably Earth-like, observes T'Prel, her multifaceted eyes blinking in sequence. 21% oxygen, nitrogen base, trace gases in proportions that match human comfort parameters precisely. Coincidence, mutters Kthal, though his crystalline form vibrates with what Eliza has learned to recognize as uncertainty. They approach the first interior doorway, a massive arch inscribed with flowing symbols that seem to shift subtly as they watch. Nexer steps forward confidently, consulting his handheld coalition database. The archway design contains elements reminiscent of 17 different ancient cultures from across coalition space, he announces. I shall attempt to activate the entry mechanism based on archaeological precedent. The Vesperan presses his 6-fingered hand against various points on the doorframe, attempting sequences documented from other ancient sites. Nothing happens. T'Prel approaches next, scanning with specialized equipment. No detectable power sources or mechanisms, she reports, her voice harmonically layered in the way of her species. Perhaps it is permanently sealed. Eliza, standing back to document the proceedings, notices something strange, a subtle luminescence that follows her movements. When she shifts position, the light on the doorframe shifts correspondingly. It's tracking me, she says quietly. Lieutenant Commander Ortiz turns sharply. Explain, Doctor. Instead of answering, Eliza steps forward, approaching the doorway directly. The symbols on the arch brighten noticeably as she nears. Acting on pure instinct, she reaches out and places her palm against the central glyph. The entire archway illuminates, symbols flowing like liquid light across its surface. A gentle humming fills the air, and the massive door slides open with surprising grace. How did you know to do that? Demands Kthal, his crystalline appendages vibrating with agitation. Eliza shakes her head. I didn't. It just felt right. They proceed into a vast circular chamber, its ceiling arching high above them. The floor is inlaid with concentric circles of an unknown metallic substance that begins to glow with soft blue light as the humans step onto it. The non-human team members follow cautiously, but the floor remains dark beneath their feet. The station is responding to human presence specifically, Dr. Tanaka observes, his scientific curiosity overriding his natural caution. This implies recognition of human biosignatures at a fundamental level. Nexer consults his instruments. Impossible. For this technology to recognize human genetic markers, its creators would need detailed knowledge of human biology from before humans achieved spaceflight. At the chamber's center stands a crystalline pedestal housing what appears to be an interface of some kind. When Eliza approaches, a holographic display springs to life above it. Star charts, diagrams, and flowing text in that same strange script. The symbols, Tanaka whispers, they contain root structures present in Earth's most ancient languages, structures that shouldn't exist beyond our planet. Prel attempts to interact with the interface, her specialized appendages designed for technological interaction. The display flickers but remains unresponsive to her touch. Kthal and Nexer experience similar failures. When Eliza reaches toward the hologram, however, it expands and shifts, responding to her movements with fluid precision. A voice emerges from all around them, distinctly human in timbre but speaking in a language that sounds hauntingly familiar yet impossible to fully comprehend. It's responding to you. Lieutenant Commander Ortiz states the obvious, her hand instinctively moving to her sidearm. What is it saying? Elder Diplomat Sexenora glides through the pristine corridors of the Coalition High Council chamber, her crystalline body refracting light in patterns that communicate deep concern to others of her kind. Behind her, representatives from the Evolutionary Primacy Committee follow in tense silence. Zax Terrell of the Araxians, whose silicon-based form seems unusually rigid today. Ambassador Vrel of the Gaseous Morphean Collective, contained within an ornate hovering sphere. Supreme Intellect Oryx 9 of the Synthetic Computron Network, and First Emergence Calax of the Insectoid Hivemind Ascendancy. They enter a secure meeting chamber where holographic displays show real-time feeds from a curiosity. The images flicker periodically, Dr. Chen touching ancient controls, human crew members activating systems that remain dormant when approached by non-humans, and most disturbing of all, star charts appearing to show ancient human presence across worlds now claimed by Coalition founding species. This cannot be permitted to continue, Zax Terrell states, his voice like grinding stones. If these findings reach the general population, the philosophical foundations of our galactic order face collapse. The humans must be contained, agrees Supreme Intellect Oryx 9, its synthetic voice precisely modulated. Their access to this technology presents an unacceptable variable in our civilization model. Elder Diplomat Setsenora's crystalline form pulses with calming patterns. Let us not rush to extreme measures. Humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability since joining the Coalition. Perhaps this discovery can be integrated into our understanding without disruption. First Emergence Calax makes a chittering sound that the translation system renders as derisive laughter. You speak of the humans as if they were a rational species. Have you forgotten their history? They nearly destroyed their own planet multiple times before achieving rudimentary spaceflight. Their emotional decision-making remains unpredictable. If they believe themselves to be the inheritors of advanced ancient technology, what will stop them from claiming dominance? Meanwhile, on Earth, the Coalition Embassy has become the center of unprecedented activity. Despite Coalition efforts to restrict transmission, images and data from the Curiosity have reached human networks, spreading across the planet within hours. In the central plaza of New Geneva, the United Earth headquarters, thousands gather to watch massive public screens displaying the incredible discovery. Dr. Maya Williams, Earth's leading xenorchaeologist, addresses the growing crowd from the steps of the Science Ministry. What we're witnessing changes everything we thought we knew about human history. The implications are staggering. Evidence suggesting advanced human civilization existed thousands of years before our earliest recorded history. Inside the United Earth Council chambers, emergency sessions convene as military leaders, scientists, and politicians debate the appropriate response. Defense Minister Cheng reviews security protocols while eyeing real-time tracking of Coalition vessel movements near Earth. They diverted 3 military-grade ships toward the discovery site, he reports grimly. Officially classified as scientific support vessels, but their configurations match known enforcement patterns. Ambassador Sofia Rodriguez, Humanity's senior representative to the Coalition, appears via secure holographic link from the Coalition capital. Her expression is tense but determined. The Coalition High Council has invoked Regulation 37 Alpha, classifying all findings at the site as potential existential knowledge requiring specialized containment protocols. In plain language, they are taking control of the station and all research materials. I formally protested, but they're proceeding under emergency authorization. Council President Amara Okafor leans forward, her aged face creased with concern. What aren't they telling us, Sophia? The ambassador's hologram glances around as if checking for eavesdroppers before speaking more quietly. My sources indicate the Evolutionary Primacy Committee has convened a closed session, something they haven't done since the Proxima Centauri crisis. Whatever Dr. Chen discovered has terrified them, and scared bureaucrats make dangerous decisions. Defense Minister Cheng's communication device chimes with an urgent alert. His face darkens as he reads the message. The Curiosity has just been placed under coalition quarantine protocols. All communications restricted to emergency channels only. They're isolating our people. President Okafor rises slowly, her decision made. Activate Protocol Homecoming. Priority 1. Throughout Earth's solar system, human military vessels quietly alter course, communication satellites reconfigure to secure bandwidths, and dormant defense systems begin silent power-up sequences. After 50 years of peaceful cooperation with the coalition, humanity prepares for the possibility that its newfound heritage might come at the cost of its first interstellar conflict. Back on the ancient station, Dr. Chen and her team remain unaware of the political storm brewing throughout coalition space. The central chamber has revealed additional interfaces as they explore, each responding exclusively to human touch. Coalition Science Observer Kithal documents everything with barely concealed agitation, his crystalline appendages vibrating at frequencies that betray his unease. The structure of this chamber suggests a ceremonial purpose, notes Dr. Tanaka as he examines intricate carvings along the walls. These repeated motifs could represent star configurations, but not in any mapping system I recognize. Elisa stands before the main crystalline pedestal, studying the holographic display hovering above it. The symbols shift and realign themselves as if attempting to communicate. Something about their pattern triggers a memory from her doctoral research on proto-linguistic structures. "These aren't random," she murmurs. "There's an underlying syntax here similar to theoretical models of universal grammar. The idea that all human languages share fundamental structural elements." The station's artificial gravity fluctuates momentarily as a low rumble resonates through the structure. Lieutenant Commander Ortiz's hand moves instinctively to her sidearm. "What was that?" she demands. Before anyone can respond, new holographic projections materialize around them. Three-dimensional star maps unlike any in Coalition databases. Regions of space light up in sequence, forming a path that stretches from Earth outward through unexplored sectors. "It's showing us something," Eliza says, her voice barely above a whisper. "These coordinates." The central pedestal suddenly extends upward, revealing a recessed handprint impression within its crystalline surface. The outline glows with pulsing blue light. "Don't touch it," warns Kthal sharply. Coalition protocols require full analysis before interaction with unknown. "This is an unknown technology." Eliza interrupts, studying the handprint. "Look at the proportions. It's designed specifically for human physiology. 5 fingers, opposable thumb, matching the exact dimensional ratios of the human hand." Nexer, the Vesperan xenorchaeologist, extends his sensory appendages toward the pedestal. Most curious. The material composition appears to incorporate elements not documented in any coalition material database. The crystalline structure suggests manufacturing techniques beyond current scientific understanding. Eliza feels drawn to the handprint, sensing its importance instinctively. "I think this is some kind of activation key." "Dr. Chen," Lieutenant Commander Ortiz says firmly, "we should wait for authorization from Captain Reyes before." "Something's happening," interrupts Tuprol, her multifaceted eyes detecting subtle changes invisible to others. The station's power signatures are fluctuating. Energy is being redirected to this chamber. Eliza makes a split-second decision. Before anyone can stop her, she places her palm firmly against the glowing handprint. The crystal warms beneath her touch, then seems to analyze her at a molecular level. A tingling sensation spreads up her arm as the pedestal scans her DNA. The chamber transforms around them. Previously hidden compartments in the walls slide open, revealing ancient artifacts and data storage devices of bewildering complexity. The holographic display expands dramatically, filling the room with three-dimensional imagery of Earth during various prehistoric periods. A resonant voice speaks, not in any coalition language, but in something hauntingly familiar yet ancient. To everyone's shock, Eliza understands fragments of it. "It's speaking a proto-language," she gasps. Elements of it exist in ancient Sumerian, early Indo-European root languages, and other Earth linguistic ancestors. As the voice continues, translation algorithms in their equipment struggle to interpret. Slowly, phrases become clear. Descendants of Earth, genetic confirmation accepted. The inheritance awaits, awakening protocols initiated. The central floor section begins to descend, creating a spiral staircase leading to a previously concealed lower chamber. Light emanates from below, not the artificial illumination they've seen throughout the station, but something warmer, more organic. "What is it saying now?" asks Dr. Tanaka, his scientific detachment momentarily overwhelmed by wonder. Eliza listens intently as the ancient voice continues. Her expression transforms from concentration to astonishment. "It's welcoming us home," she whispers. "And it's telling us a story. Our story. From long before our history began." The Coalition Artifact Recovery Unit arrives with overwhelming efficiency. 3 sleek black vessels, their hulls bearing the distinctive iridescent markings of the Science Directorate's elite division, surround the Curiosity. Captain Rise watches from the bridge as a heavily armed research team boards via the main airlock. "Sir, they've overridden our security protocols," reports Lieutenant Park from the security station. "Coalition override codes. We can't block them." Rise nods grimly. "No resistance. That's exactly what they want. An excuse to classify this as a security incident rather than a scientific dispute." The Coalition forces move through the ship with practiced precision. Their leader, Science Director Uralvax, strides onto the bridge, tall and imposing even for a Vexcar, with the characteristic blue-gray scales of his species polished to a ceremonial shine. "Captain Reyes," he announces without preamble, "by authority of Coalition Security Protocol 7, I am assuming temporary command of this vessel and all research materials pertaining to the artifact discovery. Your crew will remain under protective supervision while we assess potential existential knowledge concerns." With all due respect, Director, Rise replies carefully. Coalition Charter Article 23 guarantees member species rights to their own historical artifacts. If this station is indeed connected to human history. If. Ruralvax interrupts, being the operative word. The age of these artifacts predates humanity's emergence from primitive conditions by approximately 97,000 years. The possibility of connection is precisely what requires careful, controlled investigation. Meanwhile, on the ancient station, Dr. Chen and her team find themselves surrounded by Coalition security personnel in environmental suits designed for artifact recovery operations. Science specialist Krenlux, a reptilian saurian with elaborate academic markings on her protective gear, approaches Eliza. "Dr. Chen, you and your team have made a fascinating discovery," she says, her translator rendering her sibilant speech into smooth standard. "The Coalition Science Directorate will ensure proper analysis with all appropriate recognition for your initial work." As Eliza begins to protest, Lieutenant Commander Ortiz subtly catches her eye, giving an almost imperceptible shake of her head. The security chief has recognized the situation for what it is, not a scientific collaboration, but a quiet takeover. Back on the Curiosity, Coalition personnel efficiently establish control of all key systems. The human crew find themselves restricted to quarters and common areas, their access to communications and ship functions revoked. Captain Rice is permitted to observe from the bridge but stripped of command authority. In her quarters, Eliza examines the small object she managed to conceal in her expedition suit before being escorted from the station. 3 data crystals and the personal AI interface, which now rests in her palm like a smooth river stone. A soft knock at her door precedes Dr. Tanaka's entrance. He glances at the hidden artifacts, then speaks in a conversational tone clearly meant for any listening devices. Quite the honor to have Director Uralvax himself overseeing continued research. The Coalition certainly values this discovery. As he speaks, he discreetly passes her a small note. The handwritten message reads, "Captain initiated protocol homeward bound. 200 hours. Be ready." Eliza nods almost imperceptibly, then responds aloud, "Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing what their analysis reveals." Throughout the ship, other human crew members receive similar quiet messages. In the galley, Chef Rodriguez accidentally spills a container of clinging solution near a primary environmental sensor. In engineering, Specialist Wu notices an unusual fluctuation in the backup power systems that requires manual monitoring. Dr. Patil in medical requests special dietary supplements for several crew members, necessitating access to storage compartments normally off-limits. Each small disruption seems insignificant, but together they create a pattern of distraction, carefully orchestrated to thin the coalition security presence throughout the ship. In his quarters, Captain Rice reviews the ship schematics one final time, focusing on maintenance access tunnels that don't appear on standard coalition security protocols. He checks his chronometer. 6 hours until their window of opportunity. 6 hours to prepare for a desperate gamble that, if successful, will either safeguard humanity's newfound heritage or spark an interstellar diplomatic crisis. Either way, the Curiosity and its human crew are about to make history. The Curiosity hurtles through the outer boundaries of the obsidian chasm, alarms blaring throughout the vessel as radiation levels spike beyond safety parameters. On the bridge, Captain Reyes maintains remarkable composure despite the chaos around him. Their escape from Coalition custody had been successful, but left little time for calculating an optimal route through this notoriously dangerous region of space. Shield integrity at 62% and falling, reports Lieutenant Park, her fingers dancing across the emergency systems console. Conventional navigation is failing as predicted. Spatial distortions are increasing. Behind them, the pursuing coalition vessels maintain a disciplined formation, methodically plotting each movement according to established safety protocols. Their caution creates distance, exactly what Reyes is counting on. "Dr. Chen," he calls, turning to where Eliza works frantically, at a modified science station. "Please tell me you found something useful in those data crystals." Eliza doesn't look up from the ancient interface device, now connected to the ship's systems through a jury-rigged adapter that Dr. Tanaka engineered during their escape. The crystalline surface pulses with patterns that seem to respond to the surrounding space in ways their conventional sensors cannot detect. "It's not a navigation system exactly," she explains, watching the flowing symbols. "It's more like a perception enhancement. The ancient humans didn't just map space, they understood it differently." Dr. Tanaka points to a visualization he's created on an adjacent screen. Conventional sensors see the chasm as a chaotic storm of radiation and gravitational anomalies. But the data from the ancient device shows patterns, flow states within the chaos. Ray studies the display, his experienced eyes finding meaning in the seemingly random shifts of energy. "There," he says, pointing to a particular flowing pattern. "That looks like a current we could ride deeper in. That's directly through the highest radiation zone," objects Lieutenant Commander Ortiz. "Our shields won't hold." "They won't need to," Eliza interjects, sudden understanding dawning in her eyes. The ancient humans didn't build better shields. They found paths where the energy flows around them rather than through them. It's like finding the eye of a storm. Reyes makes his decision. Helm, plot a course matching these flow patterns. Full impulse power. The Curiosity changes direction, diving toward what conventional sensors register as a deadly radiation front. Coalition tactical analysts watching from their pursuit vessels calculate a 99.8% probability of catastrophic systems failure. Their commanders order a holding pattern at safe distance. No sense risking their own vessels when the humans are about to destroy themselves. On the Curiosity's bridge, tense silence falls as they approach the barrier. Radiation warnings reach critical levels, then suddenly, impossibly, begin to drop. "We're inside the flow," breathes Eliza, watching the ancient interface pulse with satisfying harmony. Just like water flowing around a rock, The radiation is streaming around our hull. Through the view screen, the crew watches in awe as lethal energy currents part before them, creating a navigable tunnel through chaos. The ship accelerates, diving deeper into the chasm along pathways invisible to conventional sensors, but clearly marked by the ancient technology. In the ship's lab, Eliza and Tanaka make a breakthrough analyzing the genetic data stored in one of the crystals. Projected on the lab's display is a complex double helix structure, human DNA, with specific sections highlighted and annotated in the ancient language. "This is astonishing," Tanaka whispers. "These markers aren't random mutations. They're engineered sequences, deliberately placed within human DNA." Eliza studies the annotations, the ancient language becoming increasingly comprehensible as the interface device continues its subtle interface with her mind. They're not just genetic markers, she realizes. They're keys, activation sequences designed to unlock specific cognitive abilities. She looks up at Tanaka, her eyes wide with the implications. The ancient humans didn't just leave us technology keyed to our DNA. They built the keys into us. Pattern recognition beyond algorithmic capability, intuitive leaps across disconnected information, the ability to find order in chaos. As if to confirm her realization, the curiosity emerges from a particularly dense radiation cluster that parts around their hull like a curtain drawn back. On the bridge, Captain Rice plots a course that no coalition navigational algorithm would ever calculate, a seemingly random sequence of maneuvers that somehow carries them through the heart of the chasm in hours rather than the days it would take following conventional routes. "We're doing what they consider impossible," Eliza says quietly, watching the ancient interface pulse in harmony with the human crew's decisions. "Not because we have better technology, but because we see patterns they can't." The Curiosity emerges from Earth's atmospheric entry corridor, its hull glowing from the friction of re-entry. Instead of approaching the coalition-controlled spaceport outside New Geneva, Captain Rice directs the ship toward the ancient United Nations complex, now the headquarters of Earth's independent scientific community. On the landing pad, a small delegation waits, led by Dr. Maya Williams and Defense Minister Cheng. Armed security personnel establish a protective perimeter, their uniforms bearing the distinctive Earth Defense Force insignia rather than coalition peacekeeping symbols. "They made it," breathes Dr. Williams as the ship settles onto the pad. "I wasn't sure they would." The coalition diplomatic fleet is 12 minutes behind them, Cheng reports, checking his tactical display. 6 vessels, including 2 with military-grade weapon systems attempting to masquerade as research equipment. Inside the United Earth Council chamber, representatives from every human nation and orbital colony have gathered in emergency session. The massive central display shows a countdown to the coalition fleet's arrival, alongside live feeds from defense platforms throughout the solar system. The chamber doors open as Captain Rice, Dr. Chen, and the Curiosity's senior staff enter. A murmur ripples through the assembly, part relief, part anticipation. Council President Okafor rises from her seat. "Captain Rice, Dr. Chen, welcome home. The Council recognizes the extraordinary circumstances of your return and waives normal debriefing protocols. Please present your findings directly." Dr. Chen steps forward, connecting the ancient interface device to the chamber's central system. The holographic display transforms, filling the room with 3-dimensional star maps overlaid with flowing symbols that now include translation markers. "What you're seeing is evidence of human civilization, spanning thousands of worlds more than 100,000 years ago," she begins, her voice steady despite the magnitude of her claim. "These aren't theoretical models or speculative archaeology. They're navigational records, colonial registers, and technological schematics created by our ancestors." She gestures, and the display shifts to show DNA sequences with specific segments highlighted. "Most significantly, we've discovered that certain cognitive abilities unique to humans, pattern recognition, intuitive problem-solving, and creative adaptation, aren't accidental evolutionary traits. They were engineered into our genome by these ancestors. Dr. Tanaka continues the presentation, explaining how a cosmic catastrophe involving collapsed wormhole networks had severed Earth from its ancient colonies, forcing the survivors to rebuild civilization from minimal technology. What we've called myths and legends, stories of advanced beings who came from the stars, were distorted memories of our own history. As the Council absorbs this information, Defense Minister Cheng interrupts. Madam President, the Coalition fleet has established orbital position. They're transmitting an ultimatum. Surrender of all illicitly removed artifacts and the Curiosity crew within 30 minutes, or they will enforce compliance with Coalition regulations. President Okafor's aged face shows no fear, only resolution. Dr. Chen, among the technologies contained in your recovered data, is there anything that might help us in our current situation? The Lisa exchanges a glance with Dr. Tanaka. Yes, Madam President. The database contains specifications for a defensive system unlike anything in current use. It doesn't destroy. It neutralizes. With your authorization, we believe we can implement a prototype using the Curiosity's modified systems. The Council chamber erupts in debate, some representatives arguing for diplomatic solutions, others insisting on immediate defensive measures. President Okafor listens to all sides, her eyes never leaving the countdown display showing 24 minutes until the Coalition's deadline expires. We did not seek this confrontation, she finally states, silencing the chamber. For 50 years, humanity has been a cooperative member of the Coalition, but we will not surrender our heritage, nor will we allow our people to be detained for discovering our own past. She turns to Dr. Chen. Implement your defensive system, Doctor, and transmit to the Coalition fleet. Earth stands ready to share all knowledge as equals, but we will not be threatened in our own solar system. Throughout Earth's defense network, commanders receive new authorization codes. Dormant systems power up fully, not with weapons targeting the Coalition fleet, but with something far more sophisticated, technology derived from humanity's rediscovered legacy. Fleet Commander Zextrol stands on the bridge of the Righteous Doctrine, his scaled skin gleaming under the command center's lighting. The view screen displays Earth, blue and vulnerable before his battle group's superior firepower. His second-in-command approaches with practiced deference. Commander, the humans have rejected our ultimatum. They propose instead a partnership of equals to study the artifacts. The High Council recommends we accept this compromise to avoid diplomatic complications. Zextral's inner eyelids flicker with contempt. The High Council sits comfortably in the capital while the very foundation of Coalition authority crumbles. If humans possess technology from the ancient era, the power balance will shift irrevocably. We cannot allow this. He inputs his command authorization, overriding the Council's recommendations. Deploy weapons systems. Target their primary defense installations first. Once their resistance capabilities are neutralized, we will extract the artifacts and responsible personnel. The battle group's vessels move into attack formation with precision, born from millennia of military tradition. Weapon systems charge with building hums that resonate through each ship's structure. At Earth Defense Command, technicians monitor the Coalition fleet's movements with growing alarm. Energy signatures indicate weapons charging, reports the sensor chief. Firing solutions appear locked on orbital defense platforms, Alpha through Gamma. Defense Minister Cheng turns to Dr. Chen, who works frantically with Dr. Tanaka to finalize the modifications to Earth's defense grid. Doctor, we're out of time. Eliza makes a final adjustment to the ancient interface now connected to Earth's planetary systems. Ready on your command, Minister. Throughout Earth's defensive perimeter, conventional weapon systems power down as a new energy signature propagates through the grid, neither disruptive nor destructive, but harmonizing. On the Righteous Doctrine, Zextral gives the order. Fire. Nothing happens. Report. He demands as his bridge crew frantically check systems. Weapons offline. Commander. Drive systems reduced to life support levels. Communications limited to emergency frequencies only. Around Earth, the entire Coalition battle group floats powerless, their advanced technology rendered temporarily inert by a field that doesn't destroy, it simply neutralizes. From the Curiosity, now serving as Earth's diplomatic vessel, Captain Rice opens communication with the stranded fleet. His image appears on the Righteous Doctrines view screen. Commander Zextrol, your vessels are unharmed, and your crews are in no danger. We've simply paused this confrontation before it began. Zextrol's scales flush with anger. This is an act of war against the Coalition. No, Rice replies calmly. It's a demonstration of what partnership could achieve. We could have deployed destructive weapons. Our ancestors certainly had them. Instead, we chose a system that preserves life and opportunity. He gestures, and Dr. Chen joins him on screen. The technology you're experiencing comes from a civilization that understood something profound. True advancement comes not through domination, but through synthesis of diverse perspectives. The Curiosity transmits data to the Coalition vessels, carefully selected portions of the ancient database showing evidence that many Coalition species, including the Vexcar, contain genetic markers similar to those engineered into humanity. We were never meant to rule alone, Eliza explains. Our ancestors seeded the galaxy with diverse life, each species with unique cognitive strengths. They intended us to eventually reunite as equals, combining our different ways of understanding reality. On the Coalition capital world, the High Council watches these events unfold with growing realization that the old hierarchical order cannot stand. Younger member species, long restless under the elder race's authority, seize the moment to demand reform. 3 days later, representatives from all Coalition species gather at the ancient station, now designated Convergence Point Alpha, for the first Interstellar Concordance Summit. Dr. Chen leads them through chambers now fully awakened, revealing technologies designed to be comprehensible only when multiple species work together. As humans work alongside former rivals, implementing technologies that benefit all, a deeper truth emerges. The ancient humans hadn't engineered their descendants for conquest, they had designed them for connection, with the unique ability to bridge different ways of thinking. In time, ships bearing the new Concordance emblem, a helix pattern representing diversity within unity, venture beyond known space, discovering other stations, other legacies. At each site, technologies respond not just to humans, but to combinations of species working in harmony, confirming what the ancient message had tried to tell them. No single species was meant to rule the stars. The true inheritance was partnership, diverse perspectives united in common purpose, creating possibilities greater than any could achieve alone.